What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with some more content for you guys. And you know what? We've been trying to get this done for ages, and we've got the same old Spurs pod guys in the house. Gaza and Majestic. How are we doing, guys?
It took longer than a Levy signing.
Levy did the contract for us, that's why. Yeah.
Thanks for having us, gents. A lovely setup you got. A fantastic setup.
No,
yeah, just like Levy, you're offered someone else a cheaper deal. We come in on loan. £12 million.
It's great. It's great to have you guys here. Before we get into the questions, let's just start off with talking about how we think Spurs' season's going. We'll start off with you, Majestic. What are you thinking at the moment?
It's difficult because there's this air around the club, and it's all quite toxic. It has been for the last few weeks. That and you go on all these different things. I've been up Talk Sport. My producer gives me the notes. Tottenham in crisis. I'm like, Tottenham in crisis. I'm like, we're fifth in the Premier League in the next round of the Champions League and the FA Cup. This is what happens when the football is what's been like, you know what I mean? Because you go over to the ground, it's when we was watching that Arsenal game, guys, when it was horrible. Like, he had to stop me from trying to punch people behind me and stuff. They were doing my head in.
Toxic.
And, yeah, a little toxic. But then actually, if you look at the actual stats of things, it's not that bad, and we can press on. I think the frustration comes from is the position we're in. How much better could it be if we did the right moves and the right things at the right time? I think that's where the frustration comes from. But it's a long season. It's a season that we've never seen before with the World Cup involved as well. And a lot of people forget that, obviously Hugo's had his errors lately. The Geezer's just lost a World Cup final. You've got to think how that's going to play a toll on your mentality. Romero's just won a World Cup. He's come back from that. Perisic went all the way to he played the same amount of games as Hugo and Romero because they played the third playoff as well. So there's so many factors to it. Am I happy? I'm not happy because of the way things are going in terms of where Conte is with his contract, where Kane is with his contract, and it all comes down to one thing and one thing only, which is Levy and the board and the way that they've operated. So I'm positive because I know we've got the players there to do better, and hopefully we're in January, we've got a few days left of this window, strengthen it a little bit and go forward. And I think the game against Fulham was a big win. You saw Conte's reaction,
Yeah, that was big.
and that made me very happy. Seeing him pumped, I think he's got such an air about him that if he's pumped, everyone's pumped.
Gaz, are you happy?
Look, I think it's very difficult. What I think the problem that Spurs fans have got is Arsenal. And what I mean by that is they're playing so well. They're playing a brand of football that we all want to play. And obviously Tottenham have got this history of trying to play a good brand of football. It's probably not been the case this year. It's been tough. It's been a tough watch, many games watching them this year. But I think if you look at the league table and you're at this stage of the season, you probably have to take that at the beginning. Also, to still be in the Champions League, last 16, that's a big achievement. We've got a big FA Cup game at the weekend. Can we deliver a trophy? But look, it's all about what we said it on numerous times on our podcast. I think you have to have a look at Tottenham at the end of this window. We've done a little bit of work today, and them couple of players might just kick us on and see us where we want to finish at the end of the season. Yeah,
and it gives a good opportunity to talk about the window now. Danjuma's in today. Porro could be in tonight, tomorrow. Porro was the one that we wanted, isn't he? I mean, right wing back, absolutely supreme ability. But let's talk about Danjuma. Is he a player that we need? Is he a good player? You happy with the signing?
Where's he from, Gaz?
He's from the Netherlands.
From the Netherlands. We love a Dutch player.
I think, look, for me, you're looking at Danjuma, I think Son is struggling big time. The question is, when does he come out? When do you pull him out? It's every game a topic of conversation we're having amongst ourselves, friends. Is he going to be subbed? Do you drop Sonny this game? I don't think we've got enough impact off the bench. You're looking at Brian Hill as an attacking real option, bit lightweight. But this guy's got a bit of pedigree. I think his stats are decent. They are decent. Plays in off that left-hand side, right-footed, got a bit of pace, goes at people. We need that at Tottenham.
It makes me think, though, why did we get rid of Steven Bergwijn?
Absolutely. A lot of fans are straight away on that one, saying is that a backward step?
But I think that's more him. He is a Dutch international.
Yeah.
He was a starter in the World Cup. He wanted game time, and especially with the World Cup coming, he wasn't prepared to sit on the bench. And that's the biggest problem that Spurs have had for the last 8 years with Harry Kane and Son, the duo. Where do you fit in? Kulu's come in. He's hit the ground running, and he's in that 3 now. Richarlison is the Brazilian number 9, and he's not a starter. So it's quite difficult. If you're a player in your career that you want to start somewhere, then you're like, nah. And as for Danjuma, he's looking, hang back, I go Everton here, but these guys want me. Sorry, Everton fans, we've done it again. It happened with Sissoko, and that's happened with Danjuma. So they must.
We took Richarlison as well.
I didn't know with William.
Yeah, I think we are Everton's Chelsea.
But let me ask you this: when Danjuma's two best positions are either left wing or up front striker, we have Son who can play left wing or striker. We have Richarlison who can play left wing or striker. Why are we bringing in another player who's naturally on the left or striker? Why aren't we bringing a player who can naturally play on the right? Is he a player who's the best fit for what we need right now?
Well, I think, as Gaz said, the Son situation needs rectifying because we need an option there. We say Richarlison can play left-sided. I don't think he can. I think Richarlison's best position.
He played there lots for Everton and did well.
I know, but I think his best position is that man at the front.
I agree.
In an ideal world, I'd like Kane behind him. Can you imagine Kane behind Richarlison? The amount of goals we'd get. Kane's our best midfielder.
He's best defender, best midfielder, best attacker.
That 4-2-3-1 at Tottenham for me would work. I think if you've got four at the back, two holding midfield players, Kane in that role off Richarlison with Kulusevski and someone else on the other side.
Could be
you need another centre back to partner Romero, but
absolutely.
But is this a signing? Do you think that we would have made if he wasn't available on loan on a fairly cheap fee?
Oh, absolutely not. This is a Daniel Levy special. He's walked into Poundland. He's seen it hang about. What's in your basket? You ain't paid for it yet. It's a Dan Levy special. But we'll see, because at the end of the day, after last season when Kulu and Bentancur come in, none of us jumped up and down. Kulusevski, the geezer's a starter now for me. And for me, Kulusevski and Bentancur and Romero, they're the future of Tottenham. That's how good these players are. So I'm going to wait and see. The jury's out. And I just hope, if anything, it gives Sonny a kick up the bottom.
Do you think Spurs fans are a little bit, because there's no real money involved, we haven't paid a big figure, it's almost like just because we haven't spent a whole load of money, they're sort of a bit deflated by it all? I think you need to give the guy an opportunity.
I don't think it's about the money. I completely agree about giving him an opportunity. I think once he pulls on that shirt, you've got to back the lad.
Absolutely.
You have to back him no matter what. But where I see the problem is that we want players to come in that are Conte players, that are there to come in just for Conte, that Conte is earmarked for him, for the system. I don't think he's that, and I just think he's more of a Daniel Levy signing and more kind of a scattergun approach again.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but do you reckon the signings that have come in are Antonio Conte players? Because I'll be honest with you, I find it really, really strange. Let's take Basuma, for example. If you're bringing a player to a football club and he's your sign, you play him. Straight away, every game.
Yeah.
You don't play him. Don't play second choice, third choice.
But again, would we have signed Basuma in the summer if he wasn't in his last year of his contract and available for 25 million? Would we have signed him? This is the problem with, I feel like, our transfer strategy. I feel like we're only looking for good deals and opportunities rather than actually look at Arsenal. They in the summer, their number one thing they needed issue in the squad was a striker, and they go and get Jesus. They need a left back, they go get Zinchenko. They strategically look at their squad and think, where are the holes? What do we need? We just look at the squad and think, okay, what opportunities can we get? Right. And it doesn't even matter what position.
I don't even think we look at the squad and see what opportunities we have. We just see what opportunities we can have, and it's frustrating.
He shops at the discount mall. You know, like when you go to America and you go to get the Ralphie on the cheap. I got one here.
The snide one.
No, it's not snide. It's just cheaper. It's at the outlet. He goes to the outlet. Yeah, that's where Daniel Levy goes. Whereas Man United go to Real Madrid,
cash and carry.
They go to and they get Casemiro, and that's what Conte said. He goes, if you want to win, you buy Casemiro.
I tell you what it's like. It's like, have you ever played Football Manager, the game?
Yeah.
So it's like, what Man United and Chelsea and City do? They filter by position. They filter, okay, I want someone who's 15 crossing. I want someone who's 15 tackling. I want all these different things. What we do is, filter by transfer list, who's transfer listed, and then filter by who's expiring in the contract. And then just go by that list. And that's what we do.
The only time you do that on Football Manager is when you're managing a club with no money or managing a club lower in the leagues, pretty much.
So the only thing I'd say about that is, and especially in this window, we're caught between a rock and a hard place with Conte not signing a new contract and Daniel Levy. Because if I'm Daniel Levy, I'm like, yo, you paid 65 for Richarlison, 30 odd for Basuma, 20 for Spence, 20 for Undugi. I call it, teach me how to do it. Right? So he's done almost about 150 in the summer. If I'm Levy, I'm going, I'll give you another 150 now, but you need to sign. And then Conte's going, I'm not going to sign just yet. I'll see how we get on. How can you give someone more money in case they won't be here next year? Because if the next guy comes in and you've bought a £70 million player and he goes, I don't like him, we're in an Ndombele situation.
I think you're spot on. I think back on that Danjuma though, I think we need a player in that position. Genuinely.
On the left?
I do, yeah. I think
more on the right, though. We don't need more than the right.
But you know,
player.
the modern day, they switch. They switch in
And the
games.
right side's Kulu.
And the Kulusevski's
No one's getting in front of him.
And I'll be honest with you, we need him to play every single game.
Yeah, every game.
He can't be
He
afforded
seems to
to
have
be
injury problems at the moment. We can't get him fit. You know what I mean?
He picked up something the other day, and I saw him like limp away. And you're thinking, but I think that area, especially as you said, Kev, with Son, the way he's performing, something we need to have a look at. We have addressed it. Only time will tell. Look, we have got Paratici, who has been capable in the past of pulling.
How long do we have him for?
Kulusevski.
How long do we have him for?
5 are coming for you.
He's pulled out Kulusevski and Bentancur out the bag. Obviously, there's been a couple of ones that have not been good enough. Let's hope this one's a good one.
Yeah, I think in terms of profile of player, not position-wise, but in terms of someone who's strong, who's a dribbler, who likes to get in goal-scoring positions in the front line, who's fast, we're lacking that at the moment. We're lacking a real dribbler in the front line. I look at Richarlison, Son, Kane, Kulusevski. None of them are really amazing one-on-one dribblers. You don't really fancy them when you take players one-on-one.
Kulu's the best out of them lot. And yeah, we need someone, again, with Lucas Moura being injured all season, he used to be able to drop the shoulder and go past someone. I used to love Moura in that central role and just go at people. So we are missing that. And that's also another factor that gets you off your seat as a fan, seeing someone try and go past someone. Hey, we always say it on the podcast about players, we're going to because they make your seats go up and you can hear the bang. Exactly. And that's why I always hark back to Lennon about how great a player he was, and I don't think he was respected as much as he should be.
100%.
Because he created so much. Okay, his end product wasn't great at times, but what you can do from pulling out a couple of defenders because they're so worried about that person coming at them that you double up, you create space.
The king of the drag back out.
Yeah, he wasn't he?
He played in a time though. In fact, I won't go too far. It was different football though. 4-4-2.
True.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? How would he adapt in this day? Be different.
And in terms of another prospective signing in Pedro Porro, I mean, he was our number one target coming into this window. When's the last time we've signed our number one target coming into a window?
Well, it hasn't been signed yet.
Well, it hasn't been signed yet. Don't put him on your FIFA team just yet.
Yeah, I've done that before. I did it basically as a story. I did it with in 2013 when we signed Willian. Well, we were supposed to sign Willian.
My God.
I saw all the news of him having his medical and everything. I was like, all right, I'm putting him on my FIFA team because the new FIFA hadn't come out. So I'm already switching transfers to put him on Spurs. So I put Willian on Spurs and Ben's like, don't do that. He hasn't been officially announced. You're going to put us. I was like, mate, he's had his medical. I'm putting him on Tottenham. It's
I'm
fine.
telling him, don't do it.
And I wake up the next morning, it's like Chelsea have hijacked the deal. I was like, oh, it's all my fault. Oh my God.
Some poor Everton kids up there done the same thing with Danjuma. but Danjuma's done press, he had the shirt and everything.
I'll be honest with you. Let's talk about Chelsea hijacking.
I know.
That chairman is like, hey, what soccer ball player can I buy today? How much is he? 500 million? Okay, let's give them 6. He's mad. He is mental.
But what do you guys think about Porro and what can he bring to Spurs?
Anything other than Royale and Doherty. I'm so excited. I would have signed my dad, who's 66, to play right wing back. That's how bad it's got there. And you know what? I feel for Royale because he's not a right wing back. He's not a bad right back.
Yeah.
If he's in a 4-4-2 system.
Played well at Fulham the other night.
I was like, the best I've seen him play in a while, to be fair. But again,
Funny how these players leave it late to show a bit.
yeah, but he stayed in tight, and I thought he done well there. It's when he goes up the other end of the pitch and does nothing, and you can't play this Conte system without someone that can do a bit. We talked about Perisic off air. Regardless of how poor he was against Man City, one thing with Perisic is if he gets there, it's going over.
It's capable across.
And we've got the second most headed goals in the Premier League. Something we didn't do before. We didn't score from set pieces, and now we've got that in the bank. And I think with Paul, he's going to get a real good relationship with Romero. I can imagine them two being able to play football. And when you're a good football player and you've got someone next to you, you don't trust them. And you can see that lack of trust a lot. Even with Kane, sometimes he'll be in a position to see Royale there. Well, I can't go back to him. It's going to go nowhere. Let me spin and go there. I think once you get ball players playing together, it becomes more fluid. And, you've got that in Bentancur. He can pass back to Romero, but where does Romero go? Got no options. He's got Eric Hollywood Dyer next to him who's going to try and do a Hollywood ball. Thinking he's Toby Alderweireld, and you're not. Or you've got Royale who's going to run into nowhere. Yeah. So it's going to be...
You guys know you go home and away all the time, everywhere. That position, watching it this year, has been so depressing.
Diabolical. And it's been like that. Let's be honest. It's been like that since Kyle Walker has left.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's getting worse and worse and worse every year, granted.
Well, the irony is, Kyle Walker-Peters, I thought, didn't get enough game time because I think his last game, it was the end of the season when we beat Leicester at Wembley, that great game. He was man of the match. And every time he played, he was man of the match. I thought, this kid's quite good. And then he got given away. And I think we've just gone down and down from Aurier's getting man of the match for Forest.
Yeah.
I'd prefer
I would
Aurier.
admit, Spurs fans were partly responsible for why Trippier left.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that was a big, big issue.
It
That was
was.
self-inflicted by our own fans. It was.
Yeah, and I
Because
agree.
We pushed and we pushed and we pushed for him, saying he made mistake. He made a few mistakes in a series of games. Next thing he's out the door, and next thing you got Emerson Royale a couple of years later playing in his position.
Yeah.
But
And
every
you're watching
previous
Trippier
right
for
back,
Newcastle.
Who's the main man?
every previous
Start
right back gets into this team. Aurier gets into this team. Trippier gets into this team, and it's like.
Dean Austin.
Now, finally, maybe some light at the end of the tunnel with this right back situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think it's vital that we have a dual threat from both wings because it's so easy at the moment to do that. We're
Yeah.
just so focused down that left-hand side.
Nullify that left side.
How many times have you just seen either Emerson or Doherty, like in either one-on-one situation with the defender, or especially Emerson, he's in the final third and the move just breaks down time after time again when he's got time and space to pick someone out and he can't do it. And to have someone like Porro attacking that space, but actually, look, he's got the most assists in the Primera Liga this season for Sporting Lisbon, and he's completely crossed the ball. And he
great.
takes their corners, he takes free kicks, he's got very good technique.
So that
You'll start seeing Kulusevski flourish even more.
Yeah,
as well.
that's the
Agreed.
mirror
Yeah,
image
will.
of Perisic with the
100%.
assists, the amount of assists he's got this season. And you know what, like you said, Emerson getting to that final third. Literally, me and Gaz all the time go, Emerson Royale there. Like, literally, he just does something to show why is whether it's gone into Rose Ed or he's just cut back inside and gone nowhere. It's just, that is what's the most disappointing thing for Spurs fans. When you're there, cuts back in, and then it goes back, and you're like, what are we doing?
and then when he
Playing
does
rugby.
put in a cross, he like balloons it
You
sky
notice
high,
as
and
well,
it's
we
just
sit-
like.
we sit together, and I'll notice Romero. He won't pass it to him.
Yeah, a lot of the time I've seen that.
Doesn't
before as
trust
well.
them. Doesn't
He's in
trust them.
space.
He'll look inside. He'll go the other way. Doesn't trust that right hand side
Yeah.
because he probably knows he's just going to get the ball back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get it, turn back, give it back to him. Might as well have the ball. Hold
Yeah.
on to himself.
Well, it could
yeah.
add a big dimension to our play.
Absolutely.
Second half of the season, Porro coming in. Let's move on though. Let's talk about Antonio Conte now. Obviously, his future. The fans absolutely love him, singing for him every game. Future very much up in the air though. Contract running out end of the season. Do you think his mind's made up?
You want to go with this one first?
I don't think his mind's made up. I think what happens between now and the end of the season is going to really affect that. Imagine we win the FA Cup with him. He'll be like, do you know what? This could be something. Let me speak to Harry. Harry, you staying? I'm staying. We're staying. Let's build. You know, if Porro comes in and gets running, hang on, but I'm looking at. I've got Porro and I've got Romero. I've got Kulusevski, I've got Bentancur. You know, we're moving in the right direction here. I think what people have to understand is, you know, I hate when people talk about money. Oh, he's on so much money. He's a human being. He's lost 3 people in his life, very close to him recently. And that makes you question everything. Life, what am I doing? I'm rich. I don't need to do this. I do this because I love it. But my family in Italy, I've got like, especially with the fitness coach, it's one of his best friends for 30 years has gone. He's looking around. I don't need to be in a place like this. That's why making him feel loved, and the fans have done that really well. Our away fans have been incredible in the last 2 games.
Sensational the other night. Whoever was there listening to this, well done, because that was a shit.
You could hear him. You could hear, and they're singing for the manager, and he knows he's loved. And I think that reason there, he almost wants to repay the fans because he's like, these fans deserve it. Like this club and these fans, they deserve some silverware, and we do because we're there relentlessly, regardless of how bad it can be at times.
Absolutely. I think this week, obviously, you hear Harry Kane's post-match comments about they've had a meet, they've had a sit-down. Obviously, Antonio has had a lot of off-the-field problems, as you touched on there, with losing certain members, family, friends, whatever it might be. That's a big problem. How can you commit to a football club when you're going through off-the-field issues such as that? I think that Spurs are well on their way to backing him. They've backed him a lot already. We're talking about what is it close to 300 million? Would it be?
Yeah, but have we actually backed him, or have we just spent 300 million? Because I think they're 2 different things.
Yeah, okay, that is a great shout. But in terms, you'd like to think that he identifies his targets with Paratisi and they put that to the board and you go and get them.
Because if that was the
That's what we're led
case,
to believe
if that
anyway.
was the case, then Spence would be playing.
Absolutely.
Because Spence comes in, and we needed a right back and a centre back in the summer.
Yeah.
And we knew that, and everything in the press was being like, we're going to concentrate on that right back and that centre back. We're bringing Longley on loan, who's not very great, let's be honest, and Spence, who doesn't want to play.
So we saying that? Are you suggesting there that these are not Antonio Conte players?
Correct, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I've run with that the whole season. I've had debates with numerous people. I've always been in that camp. People are trying to say, no, Antonio Conte is not going to be a Tottenham manager and not bring the players in that he wants. But as I touched on with the Basuma one, strange.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? With
strange.
Levy will always push his luck because Jed Spence, again, he's looking at it going, hottest guy in the Championship, hang about, 5 years down the line, he could be my next Gareth Bale. That's how he thinks, yeah. And what Conte's blatantly coming at the start and gone, Daniel, don't get involved in the transfers. Leave to me, yeah. And then he's giving him that, and he's gone, I've told you, and as a protest, I will not play this guy. He will not play for me.
You think it's political?
Absolutely. Like this is a game of chess, and Antonio, who's renowned for going against boards, is saying to you can't mess with me, because with Antonio, he's in the driving seat, not Levy. He's like, you sack me tomorrow, it doesn't matter, because I'm still Antonio Conte.
I'm a big Antonio fan, but for me, that's been a problem.
No.
What I mean by that is that stubbornness has been an issue because Tottenham haven't been playing well. And that problem at right wing back has been a problem all season. And we've had someone like Jed Spence who hasn't been used. And that's why.
But you don't know how good he is.
Certain Spurs fans. Yeah, but I'm not being funny. I'm telling you, I'm better than the other two.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now, Ryan Sessegnon, who had all that behind him, unbelievable for Fulham, done this, done that, come in, he's been absolutely useless. Jed Spence could be the same. But what I'm saying is, if we get Porro, fingers crossed, Conte's protest has helped that happen, because he said this is not an option for me. But these are my options. Because
you've written off Spence there.
I'm not writing. I'm writing him off from Conte's plans. He was never in Conte's plans, and he's like, I need someone that's made for now.
But you're totally ignoring the stubbornness.
I'm ignoring the stubbornness because I'm saying he's right. I'm backing Conte because he's in the right.
So you think he's dealt with that situation with Jed Spence very well?
If Porro comes in, then yes.
Okay, so you're going around the side of it.
I don't think he's dealt with it well, Conte. I don't think he's dealt with it well. And I think that the attributes that Spence has... Look, we don't see him week in, week out in training, so we don't know as well as Conte knows. But I do think it's a political thing. And I think what we have seen from Spence in the Championship, in cup games against Arsenal last year, wherever it may be, we've seen a quality player there. Definitely. We saw him completely destroy Arsenal's left-hand side that game. And I don't believe that he can't be better than Emerson or Doherty. I just don't believe that.
I'm not sure that is for me. That's even the issue. The issue is he just hasn't got a look in whatsoever. He hasn't played even one start. I mean, that's not that. Like even in a cup game or anything, he hasn't had one start. That's what's been disappointing. All right, if he feels like Doherty and Emerson are more experienced and they're more fitted to play most Premier League games, that's fine. But they've been stinking the place out, and he hasn't had one start throughout the whole season. That to me is a bit disappointing.
It's very unfair on the kid. I'll say that much. It's very unfair on Jed Spence, right? But with Conte, if he's going to play the game and he's playing a game of chess with someone, he can't show any weakness. And he's got to go, this is my stance, I stick by it. Because if he goes back on it, then all of a sudden that relationship with him and Levy becomes the Pochettino relationship, where Levy calls the shots and I'm just the coach.
I agree with you. I'm an Antonio Conte fan, I am. But I'll tell you one thing, he slings the same team out in the same formation, whether it's failing or what. He don't change. He's not that manager that will go. He doesn't look at an opposition enough for me, yeah. And I can't judge what he's done. His record speaks for itself. But he doesn't look at a certain opposition enough and go, do you know what? We go this route today. We'll change it. We'll play 4 at the back, whatever it might be. To him, he doesn't. He slings the same boys out in the same formation when it's failing. He doesn't make in-game change. He don't make changes during games quick enough for me at times. And that is a problem. Like that is, and I'll be honest with you, there is a stubbornness to that.
But that's also why you don't bring in Antonio Conte without bringing in Antonio Conte players. Because if he had his players, would be so much harder to beat, would probably be scoring more goals. You saw at back end of last season, I know it wasn't Conte players, but one game a week with his training, we hardly conceded a goal. I don't know what's happened this year with why we're conceding so many goals.
For people who are maybe not so infused right now about Antonio Conte and about the way things are going at Tottenham, how do we explain why definitely like the last 6 months of last season, we were fantastic. We won 10 of the last 14 Premier League games. I think we kept the record amount of clean sheets in the Premier League that we've ever kept with Hugo Lloris in goal. I think Hugo had a record number of clean sheets. He spent, I know you could argue whatever his players or not, we spent money on Richarlison and Basuma. He brought in Perisic, who was definitely his player. We brought in Longley, who we didn't have last season. And our defence has gotten worse, and a lot of the football has gotten worse. How is that explained? And following on to next season, is that going to, how important is it that improves in the second half of the season if he's going to stay here?
And that's after the best part of 150 million
spent. Who are you putting that
spent.
responsibility on? So what I mean by that, are you putting that on the player to react when you're in a dip of form and start churning out better performances, or are you looking at the manager to get more out of you? Because there's a couple of managers in the Premier League who are doing fantastic at the moment. You look at Eddie Howe. Now that is someone who's getting a maximum amount of group of players, yeah? I still think Antonio Conte, you look at last year, it's quick to always hark back to last year because he's done a tremendous job with that group to get us into the Champions League. But this is this year. You can't keep harping back to last year.
But this year,
it's this year.
If this was a business, he is on course to do the same that he did last year.
Yeah.
And so he is.
But there are players
with more obstacles in the way, with more competitions at the moment.
The funny thing is, players under his tenure that have not improved and they're not playing
because
well.
he got the best out the worst bunch. When you got Ben Davies and Dyer, etc., and Conte should never be on the phone and having a conversation with Ben Davies. That shouldn't be happening.
Or Dyer.
Or Dyer shouldn't be on the phone to them. Like, you know, when he's come out and said Dyer's a great centre half, he's having a banner. He's got an Italian WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm going to tell the press Dyer's good. And he's cracking up. Banner. Look at this. Allegri's in there.
I'm going to tell them I can make him the best defender in the world.
I'll make Dyer bloody good.
I'm just a little bit surprised that a couple of players haven't really kicked on under.
Because they're not good enough.
Well, Richarlison, he hasn't scored a league goal.
But
not
he's
been
also
played in
not
his
played
position.
enough.
But he's
had injuries.
He has had a few starts, Richarlison.
Not many, though. Not many.
What is it, 6 or 7?
Something like that, yeah.
6 or 7.
I think he's had 5 starts, 6 starts, yeah.
Yeah, but 6 or 7. You look, as I said, you touched on Basuma. Lenglet hasn't really done anything.
I don't think the majority of these players are good enough. When you're looking at Hugo Lloris ain't good enough anymore. Dyer, Davis, Sessegnon, Emerson, Doherty. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
The list goes on. And don't forget all these players coming back in the summer. Harry Winks, Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso.
You're going to see it on the socials. Isn't it? You know, the first day of training, they've all got the new gear on. They're all there.
Harry Winks, ladies and gentlemen. But literally, as we said, the list of who's good enough for a Champions League side is about 7.
About 7 or 8, I think.
Tops.
For a starting pot.
So it's just like, that leaves you with a lot of deadwood. So
Son's form as well has been a problem. Because you're looking at a guy that picked up the Golden Boot last year.
Yeah.
That's an issue. You know what I mean? So there's that to take into account.
It's a whole half of the season now.
Definitely.
Like, how long are we going to make excuses for?
Where are you at with it? I mean, Son, obviously I'm not going to dictate your show. You tell us.
No, we can talk about
it. When does it come to the point where you say he's got to come out?
I was saying that before the Man City game.
Yeah.
Before the Man City game, I was saying, look, he's got to come out because Richarlison was back fit. I think it's time. Now Danjuma's in, I think it's even more time.
Yeah.
I think he's got to come out of the team, take him out of the firing line for a little bit.
Just needs a little break, doesn't he? Just
Yeah.
Spanish Brian, are you a fan of him?
I like Brian, who obviously he's a bit of a twig and he gets pushed around a lot, but he's got supreme ability, man. He really does.
Yeah, Son's an interesting one. I just feel like his role... I think what's happened is, I don't know if you've realised, but Kane isn't dropping deep as much as he did last season. He's staying a lot further forward, and it's led to him scoring goals. He's got 15 Premier League goals.
I think that's Conte's doing as well.
Yeah, it's definitely Conte's doing, but maybe what it's led to is Son dropping that back a bit. He's not very good in those areas.
No.
He needs to be on the last line, and that's where he was killing it. But maybe Conte feels like he needs Kane in more advanced positions now. But it doesn't seem to be working as well as it was last season when Kane was dropping deep and Son was the one pushing on.
Yeah, the chemistry's gone. The chemistry between the two that was so influential for our football club is just gone. But I look at
although it was the Kane Son again the other night, the link up for the goal.
I'll be honest with you, I could have played that pass, mate.
I've seen your pass, and I'm not sure about that.
It's not a draw, mate. But yeah, I just think, Son, when you look at him in a minute, even on a 50-50, he's weak in a challenge, he's struggling with his first touch, second touch, struggling to go by a man. He just looks so
But that energy, I think that is the energy of the team, and that's why we're all feeling that. And I think if we can get Antonio feeling pumped again, a great win against, we'll get through the FA Cup. If we can batter press the North End, you know what I mean, proper away. And then the next home game. Who's our next home game? I can't even think.
Man City.
Huge game to go to. Imagine.
He won that one.
Well, you know what? Bergwijn scored on his debut against Man City at home. Step up Danjuma.
And he's from the Netherlands. So, yeah, you never know. I just think we just need a new energy. And it'd be interesting to see.
I just want to ask quickly, when it comes back to Antonio Conte, the way this season has gone now, has it turned from a situation? Because at the beginning of the season, it was a situation where we need to do everything we can to convince Conte to stay. But with the way this season has gone, do you think for a lot of fans it's turned into a situation where Conte now has to start convincing us again that he's the right man for the job?
I think if you're a stupid football fan, yes. Like, if you know anything about football, you don't get rid of the elite manager. You don't get rid of the best manager that we've ever had, right? And that's the fact of the matter. It's just like anything in life. If someone is an expert in something and they've done more than I have to listen to them to learn. And this is where I think Daniel Levy gets it wrong, because this guy has won. Okay, he's very stubborn, but the reason why he's stubborn is I know how to win this way. This way wins. If we do it my way with the right things, then we will win. The thing that happens, and it always happens with the managers and Levy, it always comes back to a place where the eyes ain't on Levy. It's like, oh, let's get the manager out. He's the problem. Let's sack Jose Mourinho before a final, even though the geezers won finals after finals.
I don't necessarily think it's all based on what he's done and his pedigree as a manager. I think it's also where Spurs fans get frustrated. We speak to him, we speak to loads, as you do, guys do. It's the rapport with the manager. Doesn't seem to be one at the moment. You look at Arsenal again. You compare your mate. You're talking about Arsenal.
No rapport. That's
You're looking at Arsenal. He really wants to manage that football club. The players want to really play for that football club. You've got a manager at Tottenham who comes out and sort of says, "Don't know if you're seeing things, reports that he's definitely leaving at the end of the season." Some people, when they see reports out and hear things out, they just go, "Oh, let's get this manager out now."
But then,
if he ain't interested in staying at Tottenham, get something.
Then you see the pump at the end of Fulham.
I'm not saying that's what my view is. But you have to take it all into account. That's what some Spurs fans dislike.
Do you get a sense that maybe he has an air of, "Oh, I'm doing you a lot of favour being
Yes,
here"?
absolutely. Yeah, I do. Basically, I've said it before, he's like, say if it was your pal, like, he's the buff girl that you could not get. And she's always reminding you, I've got Bear Man on my phone, you know. They're messaging me. They want me, you know. And you're like, let's go TGI Fridays and have a cocktail. Like we do pander to him. But he's a great, great manager.
Definitely.
And the fact of the matter is, if we can settle him and go, here's 3 years, you know, because Ten Hag is doing his thing there. They're going to get better and better. Arteta's done a great job over there. Like, Chelsea ain't there yet. They ain't got a manager.
They'll get there. They'll get there.
But they'll get there when I think it'll be Simeone that comes into there personally.
Really?
Yeah. And then you look at, like, Liverpool with Klopp. They're at crossroads. They don't know. Does Klopp go again and go, let's try and rebuild? Because there's a rebuild job at Liverpool to be had there with midfield and everything else. If Liverpool go and get Jude Bellingham and stuff like that, then they're on the way back up straight away. But with Spurs, it's like, if we lose Conte, it's going to be, it is back to the drawing board again. We keep doing this as Spurs as a club. We evolve and then we go backwards. We evolve, go backwards. It started, Jacques Santini come in.
Yeah, but that might not be in the club's hands.
Huh?
That might not be in the club's hands. The manager might just not want to stay at Tottenham.
But what I'm saying is, everything is... 500 plus days of Pochettino not getting another signing in during that time when we were... This is what I say, Arsenal, yeah? They didn't need Trossard. They went and got him and paid the money that Brighton wanted for him. Instantly involved in the goal on Sunday. He's already got 8 Premier League goals this year for Brighton, and they've strengthened that position. They didn't need to strengthen that position.
That's what top clubs do.
Top clubs strengthen...
Over and over again, and that's what... Basically, what Arsenal are doing now, they're learning from the mistakes that we went wrong under Pochettino. We were at the top, and Daniel Levy told us, "Oh, this team can't be strengthened. We can't buy players to strengthen this team, even though we're bringing on Nkudus and Ngis and all these kind of players." You know what I mean? Kevin Wimmers and all that. Like,
own goal against Arsenal.
Like we had the opportunities to strengthen those squad. We didn't make a signing for 18 months, I think it was. I mean, it's not good enough. And you look back at the team
that
now.
That thing's got to go. When does that thing turn off?
Popular. My life don't turn off. This is, see, yeah, a little glimpse of it.
You look back at now, and Gaz asked, what's the problem at Spurs now? Is Antonio Conte the problem? Is it the players are the problem? Is it Daniel Levy and the board that's the problem? I think everyone's got a piece of the blame of the problem right now at Tottenham Hotspur. But I think ultimately it goes back to the ownership every single time for me. Every single time.
Well, look at recruitment, for example, right? Tottenham spent a bit. If you're one of them that argues Daniel Levy spent money, and I've had that thing, he has spent a bit of money, but the recruitment's not gone right. It's been poor. There's too many players that have not been success stories. But that's on him because he employs the team to make the decisions and to bring in the players that Tottenham identify. If it goes wrong, it goes back to you.
Yeah.
The buck has to stop with him.
Nobody can tell me what.
He's the chairman. He's in control of the purse strings.
Nobody can tell me since Poch has left what the plan has been at this football club.
Yeah.
Nobody can. Do you know?
It hasn't been.
It hasn't been. Try and get elite managers in and see what they can do.
I've said it.
Works and magic.
I said it before when when Jose came in. Jose Mourinho was Daniel Levy's fantasy. So he was the girl. No. So they went to school together. She was the cheerleader, high school prom queen, and all that. He could never get her. He's old enough now, but she's been around the house. He's got 4 kids, and she just doesn't look the same. Yeah, and he's like, I finally got with her.
4 kids.
Yeah, and she's like, terrible. You don't want to be with her now. Terrible. It's done. So he's like, oh God, the fantasy's gone wrong. Then it was like, what do we do now? Oh, Ryan Mason, jump in quickly. Then it took him how long to get Nuno in? Like to go from
72 days
Jose Mourinho to Nuno, and then that goes wrong. He had to go and then buy Conte to keep the wolves from the door, so to speak. But you've got Conte in who comes with all these demands. He's bought a Ferrari and go, I've got no money for petrol. Like, okay, and this is what I'm saying in terms of like backing him. Not Bruno Fernandes is a tremendous player. He could be at our club right now. Jack Grealish could have been at our club right now. And these are all on Levy. These ones are all on him. Trossard could be at our club right now.
Dybala.
Yeah, these are all things that are on Daniel Levy because he doesn't want to pay the money. £12 million we offered Brighton for Trossard. Do you know what £12 million buys you? Yunus Kabul in 2007. Yunus Kabul in 2007. Imagine that. Imagine going to Brighton and going to offer you the same money we paid for Yunus Kabul in 07.
It's interesting what the agent of Trossard said as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tottenham humming and ahhing, and Arsenal coming 24 hours
wait
later.
This, wait that.
That's a problem. And
it's
that's
embarrassing.
What frustrates Spurs fans.
And I guess that goes on to our next topic.
Yeah,
then.
and next topic is it right for Spurs fans to be chanting Levy out at games at the moment?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Why not? We're the fans. We pay the money. We're paying,
You guys in the Levy camp? Out.
Levy out camp, yeah.
Do you know what it is? I'm going to put it all out there now. I will never say that ENIC ruined our club. ENIC took our club forward. Daniel Levy and ENIC took our club forward. Standard. That ground, the facilities. We are a top 6 club. We are a worldwide entity now, yeah? When I was younger growing up, you know when you go like to Spain and that, and you had the geezer like, hello, and you're trying to buy like a shirt.
You had to watch Stuart Nethercott growing up.
It was but it was Man United shirts. It was Liverpool shirts. You see the looky men with Spurs shirts now, right? That's an indication of where your club's growing internationally, even though they're not getting the money from the shirts. It's like, so we've gone forward as a club, but now is the time that if you want to stay there and you want to go forward, then you need to go harder with investments. You need someone to come in the way they're going to do it at Newcastle, the way that Todd's come in at Chelsea today.
I don't necessarily think it's about money.
It is about money.
I think it's about player choice and recruitment.
No, but
that needs to be better. But
it's money. It all comes down to money because when you could
we spent a bit of money though.
No, but not the right money because when you could get Jack Grealish, but you don't want to pay £20 million, you want to pay £8 million for him.
There's obviously
that's money.
Examples like that.
Bruno Fernandes. There's so many examples like
that's
that.
What I'm saying there is examples.
So it comes down to money.
But it's not necessarily.
Yeah, but we go and spend the money in the wrong places.
Yes.
Absolutely. Let's talk about £65 million and Dembele then.
Absolute poor choice.
Got from him, but that's a tag, £65 million.
Yeah, but
everyone was looking.
No,
at
but Daniel Levy saw that as it could be £120 million. Is the hottest prospect in Europe.
I just think
it wasn't proven. It wasn't proven.
Hottest prospect in Europe that can't last 90 minutes.
We can't afford to keep getting recruitment wrong now. We're at a stage where when we bring in players, they have to be success stories. There's been too many that have not been. That's a problem.
I just think for me, it's culture. It's a cultural thing. For Tottenham, I just look at other clubs, and it seems to me that especially the top clubs right now, is their full focus is on football, trying to get their teams into a position where they're challenging, improving all the time. Football's at the forefront. I just feel like always at Tottenham, football's not the priority. Football's not the number one priority at Tottenham. It's always second or third to other infrastructure deals, to NFL, to all these, to concerts, to all these different things. And then there's money left over. We'll try and improve the footballing side. And I always feel like the boardroom isn't obsessed with trying to make Tottenham great and trying to win trophies. All they want is just enough investment to try and challenge for those champion spots, and then try and make it. And
this weekend we've got Wizkid doing a bloody tour.
That really annoyed me, right? That really annoyed me because that was the day after the North London derby loss, and you had that social media guy at Spurs like laughing down the camera on the pitch, being like, "Oh, Wizkid's coming here." I was like, I don't give a shit Wizkid's coming here. We just lost to Arsenal in the North London derby. Absolutely. Just got our trousers pulled down.
But I think that's a fantastic assessment that you made of it there. That was it in a nutshell. Really, really was. It's quite simple.
But what do you say? Like, I don't know if you saw. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. Simon Jordan on Talk Sport. He was asked about, what do you think about Tottenham fans singing, Levy out at away games? Is he the problem at Tottenham, and is he the reason why? And Spurs are not maybe doing as well at the moment. He said that Daniel Levy is not the reason why Tottenham fans are not enjoying watching their team right now. And he basically said Tottenham fans are idiots if they're chanting for Levy out at ground. Also, Gary Neville on Sky Sports said, if you look at Tottenham, their position, I don't know why Tottenham fans are complaining right now. There's nothing to complain about. They are where they should be, and Daniel Levy's doing a good job. So what do you think? What do you say to those kind of guys?
I agree with that, but I think it is with the whole Daniel Levy thing it's a repeat. We come to the same place every time. And where we are right now is at that stage with Pochettino where it started to go a little bit sour, and he come out and he started saying stuff like, well, if I win the Champions League, I should leave. I'm not the manager, I'm the coach. So even nice Poch, after all them years, was like, I've had enough now. I'm just going to start speaking the truth. So we can see we're at that point again. Because if Conte goes in the summer and Harry Kane goes in the summer and, like, you know, Lloris is likely to be out as well, you know, and we've got this painful rebuild that we always talk about doing, rather than having to painfully rebuild every 6-7 years, it's like keep strengthening and get better and better with those players around, you know. And it was unfortunate that at that time, and, you know, Danny Rose come out and said it. He goes, we're signing people that have to Google. That says everything about the culture of Daniel Levy, as we said.
Hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. We're still Googling the signings, you know. The difference is this time round, like with Paratici, we got a Kulu and a Bentancur. That we ain't seen that happen for a while. Who's come instantly into our first 11 and been good in the last sort of 10?
There's a lot of players that sign for clubs in the Premier League that you don't know. I think people would be lying if they said they know all of the players that go.
No,
you've got to be watching every single football match in Europe.
No, I think there's a massive difference between that and Arsenal signing Ben White, a proven centre back, who everyone laughed at.
He's right back now.
Yeah, but that's Arteta just getting the best out of what he needs in that situation.
50 million he cost, by the way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But they went into the Premier League market and brought Zinchenko and Jesus. They know the game. So you're buying players in a league that they already play, that know what they're doing. You could argue that's Basuma and Richarlison, but they haven't had a chance yet. But I just think culturally with Levy, as we say, it's rinse and repeat, as you said. Let's see how far we can go. We come back. And the scary thing is now, the Premier League's got harder, and the game's changed now. So
and every year it's getting harder.
Every
and
year
harder.
it's harder to stay up.
More and more investment. There seems to be more and more people wanting to buy clubs in the Premier League.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it gets worse. It gets harder.
I think Spurs, the only way that
sell.
The only way
Would you be open to the Qataris?
Absolutely. I think the only way that Spurs fans are going to be satisfied.
Give me the gear. I'll have the full gear on.
Because we're in and around that 5th, 6th, haven't we? Constantly. We've been there for a few years now. The only way that Spurs fans are going to be satisfied is someone comes in with the intention, as you said, that Daniel Levy's not got presently, is to win trophies. Deliver for Tottenham year in year out. And whatever's required, when you foul on a player, go again. Yeah. If you foul in another position, you go again. Tottenham, it's going to be difficult to get that person though, because Tottenham are not a cheap option. I've said this before. You know what I mean? They are not a cheap option. And the difference that Tottenham have had, I've said it, the difference that Tottenham have done over the last few years that our other competitors haven't, is putting £1 billion stadium. Comes with a lot of debt, comes with a lot of issues. So, interesting debate, that one, but Tottenham fans, and me included, it's time for change, but it's not as easy as just change.
But the way that Spurs is set up as a business with the NFL Association, the fact we've got no naming rights, everything is there for someone to come in and go, here we go, we're going to pay you a load of money. But the problem is the people doing the business to get that over the line. My goodness, if it's bad enough signing players, imagine selling a whole business off. I just don't think that you look at the sort of Newcastle thing, and with the guys that got in there, they're in the stadium. It's a big project to them. It's very personal to them. Joe Lewis don't care. He's an elderly man now. He doesn't care. Daniel Levy can say that we're all custodians, we're all fans. I just.
You know, that Joe Lewis situation, what frustrates me is, like, it's been at Spurs, obviously owner for years now. Yeah, he's getting old. He's not no spring chicken, is he? Surely you'd think, you know what? I've been the owner of this football club. I'm gonna have a little go here. I can't bring all this money to the grave with me. So let's have a little go and try and win something. So before my time's up, I've delivered something in that month.
That's the thing. He don't care. That's the thing. He doesn't care.
But
if he cared, he would have done it already.
With an owner, you would have surely thought you would have built a little bit of a rapport after running with a club. But these guys are just ice, aren't they? Ice cold. They're just
money. That's all it's about. That's all it's about.
Clearly it's
and you know what? And Simon Jordan will always back sort of Daniel Levy because he's a chairman. Yeah, he runs the business well, and in his mind, Tottenham are where they are supposed to be. He doesn't view us as a Manchester United or an Arsenal or even a Manchester City or a Chelsea. He views us as being, with Tottenham, that's where we belong to be. We want to be better than that. We want to, and we are going to let down the greatest player that we've ever had at the football club by not achieving anything in Harry Kane if we don't win anything.
I think it's interesting, back onto what you said about the chanting. It's a difficult one because football's not cheap. Lads, you know that. Like, it's not cheap to go home and away now. So if you're spending a lot of money and you're dedicated and you're going home and away, you've got an opportunity. You've got a right to voice whatever you want to say, in my opinion, within a certain... Obviously, you can't go overboard with it. If you want to cheer out Daniel Levy, you're not happy with the job he's doing, I think you've got the right to do that.
What about protesting? Do you think do you like the protests? The ENIC out?
No, because they look weak. We look poor.
I thought we didn't do ourselves any favours there, and I don't like to go into that debate because there's ENIC out that are really strong ENIC out, and they know obviously what the ins and outs of it all. But there was a meet the other day, weren't there, at the training ground?
Yeah.
Not enough people there for me.
I think we got more players in the squad than there was at the protest.
That's the thing, right?
Levy sitting out the office window looking at that guy, there's only 28 people that don't like
I don't mind protesting, but you can only do it in mass numbers.
Yeah.
That's the only way it works.
Difficult to get though, because it's a Saturday afternoon. People have worked all week. They're looking forward to their weekends. You've got to give it up to go for Tottenham again.
Yeah.
You give it up enough. So then you're asking people to go over. So that's a tough one, that. Very, really tough to get people over there.
Well, look, not much time left, but we'll finish on a question I know you two will definitely like this one. Is Kane the best Spurs player ever?
I'll let you start.
I think, look, for me, it's a difficult one because he hasn't won a trophy. But I think as a striker, look, he's now level with Jimmy Greaves as the best ever goal scorer in Tottenham's history. I think the fact that he's stayed with us for so long, I think his quality as well. Obviously, he gives assists. He's an unbelievable playmaker. He's multiple Golden Boot winner. It's hard for me to say because I haven't seen Jimmy Greaves. I've seen highlights of him, but I never actually saw him in the flesh. But obviously, by all accounts, he was an unbelievable player. But for me, they're definitely modern era. For 100%, he's the best ever Tottenham player. In terms of all time, I know people older than me will say Jimmy Greaves. I know that. I know my dad will definitely say Jimmy Greaves. He did it in less games, didn't he, Jimmy Greaves? Jimmy Greaves. Did he do it in less games?
Less games, yeah.
Did it in 8 years, didn't he, I think?
I think it was about 20, 30 less games or something like that.
Yeah, for me.
But I think he is. I think he is.
I'm with you on that. I think Harry Kane's unbelievable.
Does he need a trophy, though, to get crowned best ever Spurs player?
I've had this debate as well. We have it about the Harry Kane trophy situation.
Yeah, obviously.
Look, I'm a Spurs fan, right? I'm not a Harry Kane fan. So what I mean by that is if Harry Kane don't win any trophies when he retires, that's bad for Harry Kane. But that's not bad for me. I'm annoyed Spurs haven't won any trophies. You know what I mean? So if you're like a Chelsea fan, Arsenal fan, a Man United fan, it's quick to come up and say, yeah, we ain't won nothing, but okay. I just appreciate what he's done for our club year in, year out. There's been a big debate about him not turning up in big football games, Champions League final, cup games. We've had this debate as well. Yeah. That was a big game the other night against Fulham.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the Crystal Palace game is a big game. I'm not putting them on the same...
It's not a Champions League final.
It's not a Champions League final. It's not on the same one.
No, I know what you're saying.
But it's a big game for where Tottenham are at the moment.
Yeah.
It is a huge, huge football match for us. And as I said, I struggle with any other team, Chelsea over the years, Liverpool, Man United, any one individual that's carried a team like he has.
Gareth Bale when he was at Spurs?
Perhaps, but I'm on about for a long period.
Yeah.
I'm on about for a long period. I'm talking about Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal. You look at all their top teams, when they had all their top players, there's not one individual
would you say
carried them.
Would you say Thierry Henry maybe?
Really got Robert Pires, Lundberg, Bergkamp, Vieira.
True, but he's had Sonny with him. He's had also good players.
Yeah. But I just think he's a standout when it comes to that for me.
Here's a question for you.
The goals, the way he can adapt as well, his game, he can be the marksman, he can drop off so much.
Jazz,
to his game.
Would you take a peak Drogba or a peak Harry Kane?
For me, I'll put my bias hat on. I think Harry Kane's an all-round.
Drogba, 9 goals in 9 finals.
Yeah, the thing is
that's my biggest problem with the Kane situation.
He's been in more finals.
I think if you ask me...
That's simple. It's very
Kane,
simple. Chelsea probably in that era probably got to, 2 finals a year?
Literally. He's done it in Champions League. He's done it in everywhere.
Very different to compare a player who's reaching finals year in, year out to somebody who's at a club like Spurs and is semi-finals an achievement.
Yeah, but
I think if you ask just outside the box, who's a better player, Kane or Drogba? I think you have to go on Kane on longevity, how many goals he's scored, and everything like that.
I love Drogba.
When you talk about peak players, there's a real conversation to be had there, in my opinion. Real conversation.
Well, if you're just talking about finals, like Jesse Lingard scored in a few finals for Man United, doesn't make him better than De Bruyne.
Yeah, not at the rate that Drogba did.
I mean, obviously, but Drogba's an unbelievable beast when it comes to finals. But when it comes to finals, he's unmatched. He's probably the best ever final player.
I'm hoping this year we get to the FA Cup final and Harry Kane gets a brace or a hat trick and just shuts everyone up.
Interesting one, that one as well. We're talking about Harry Kane, just to come off a little bit there. What I'm saying with Harry Kane, is he thinking in his head? Because I think he'll probably leave. I really do. I hope he doesn't, but I think he'll probably leave. I think he'll probably end up at Man United. But is he thinking to himself, you know what? Got 1 year left, sign 4 more years after that. I'm giving this club another 5 years to deliver me a trophy. So he's thinking in his head, I've got 5 years with this club again. We'll go again. He might look back on that and after that 5 and go, didn't do it. Yeah. But there's an opportunity that he might do it.
Yeah.
And that might just be the icing on the cake for that man.
But
But does he think that way? Is he thinking that way? That's another question.
What do you think means more to him? Let's say he goes to Man United. Man United become dominant. They win a couple of Premier Leagues and a Champions League or something next 5 years, or to win like one trophy with Spurs.
One trophy with Spurs.
5 years, no matter what trophy it is.
Yeah, I think if he won one thing with Spurs, it shuts everyone up, and then they can focus on doing more. Because that's all it is with us now. It's like, we have won a trophy. And again, massive media bias on that, because if you look at the big clubs that haven't done anything, like Villa, Everton, like these clubs that are in absolute turmoil, like with Everton, why do we get so much stick about it? It's like we get beaten with that stick all the time. It's because
trophies, yeah. Newcastle haven't won anything since the 50s.
Yeah,
I
I think it's because under Pochettino we were the best team in the league for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Best defence, an amazing attack, and we still never won anything. We were literally the best team in the league for 2 years, statistically.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason why we get beaten like that.
Yeah, but I just think, again, but the difference between that is, again, we brought Newcastle up. They get a documentary called The Entertainers after flopping a 12-point lead. And we're like, oh, we flop. So it's just like, hang about. You know, as I said, Arsenal don't get the top four. We mugged them for it. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about them winning the league outright, because, hang about, they flopped the top four last year. Why are they going to automatically win? Just because they look great. They look great because they beat Man United on the bounce and they beat Chelsea last season. Do you know what I mean? They kept answering us last season until they got to Newcastle and us. So, but again, back to Harry Kane and where's his mind at the moment. I think seeing his post-match stuff recently, he seems even more Tottenham than ever, actually. But then there's a certain man's name I won't mention on this channel that did the same thing. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
But again, for me, if Harry Kane goes Man United, he has no guarantees of winning. The same with Spurs. Man United, okay, they probably look closer to challenging for the league, perhaps, with the squad that they've got. I don't think they're any closer to winning something than Spurs are.
Well, tonight they win. They're in the cup final.
They're in the cup final, and Newcastle could be as well. And the way the Geordie lads are going, the way the lads, I think you
just don't know what's going on in Harry Kane's mind.
No.
You would love to know that little bit of detail is how in love he is. He's been at Tottenham for a long time, by the way. I know there was that episode with the Gary Neville interview and he didn't turn up to train for a little while, but
that hurt, man. That hurt.
Yeah.
That did hurt.
Because it wasn't
in the grand
like
scheme
him.
of things, though, I know that was bad, but there's a lot of players that go to extreme lengths to leave a football club.
Yeah, but
Extreme lengths. I'm in about I'm not ever turning up for you again.
Yeah.
Levels.
Berbatov.
Like,
No.
And I'll be honest with you.
Diego Costa.
If you're talking about a player that was probably in that box to be able to do that, he probably won for the service and the goals he scored for his club. Didn't do it though. And he's come back, got his head down eventually, and scoring goals for us and scoring goals. And I tell you what, at Fulham the other night, he got a big reception after that game.
Yeah, he did.
A massive reception, and he walking away from that big smile on his face. I'd love it if he stayed. Love it if he just signed that.
He was nearly in tears in that interview after the game.
But isn't that what happened last 18 months ago, that in that summer? Isn't that an indication that if things aren't going right this summer, then he will look to leave? Like, that is where his head's at.
Yeah, and again, it all comes back to, like, just to summarise the whole show, it all comes back down to Daniel Levy and what he does. Yeah. And if he can...
Always comes back down to Levy.
But it's in his hands, because if you go to Conte, here is a deal that you can't refuse. Here's all the assets that go with it. You know, buy who you need to buy. Your first job is to go to Harry, sign, let's go. We're in a project together. For me, if Conte stays, Kane stays. If Kane stays, Conte stays. They're one of the same things. And I think the problem was when he wanted to go that season, I ain't going to work for the old Wolves manager. Forget this. I could go to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
I'm Harry Kane at my peak. And he had absolute all in his rights. That's
a great shout, that.
And if he sits down with Conte and goes, right, we go again. Have you seen the boys we brought in? And I think, again, even with Son's form and the way he feels so flat, he's been probably all this stuff. He signed a new deal. We're going to buy this guy and buy that guy. Turns around, Benny Davies still there. Fantastic. You know what I mean? So, yeah, fingers crossed. And I just think, again, there's some weirdos out there that like hate Harry Kane.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And it makes no sense.
Strange.
Who do you replace him with? You can't. He's
You
unreplaceable.
you have to buy 3-4 players to replace him.
Do you know
literally.
what was refreshing for me? Sorry, but like what's refreshing for me, the comments that he's making is there's so much football left this season.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get carried away. Arsenal going to win. Oh, they've got 20 games to play, 19 games to play. Like there's so much football still to play. We need him on side.
Yeah.
We need him firing. And I tell you what, when I see these messages that's coming across to me that he's at it, he fancies it. So, and we need him desperately to be on fire for us, as he was the other night.
All right, last question to close off the show. Let's name our favourite Harry Kane goal.
Oh my God.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So not one springs to mind just quickly for me. Is the one in the mask at Omar.
That's the one I was thinking of.
I
That's
think
the
we
one
all
I was
agree.
because we were top of the league for 15 minutes after that until we threw it away to a 10-man Arsenal. But that goal, the stadium, were you guys there that day? The stadium like shook.
The mask was off.
The mask, it's iconic when you look back at that. I think also...
Isn't it a bit Spursy, though, to have an iconic moment in a game that we drew and screwed our season up?
Yeah, that's the most Spursy thing. That's how it is.
That's how we love it. I think other goals, there was a goal against Borussia Dortmund at home he scored, which was just absolutely unbelievable. First sort of 5-10 minutes, bullied everyone. Bang, like top corner.
One at Chelsea springs to mind at home, and he paid a little ball in, I think, about 25 yards out. Bang, I think we won the game.
That's when he got the hat trick.
Stumbled past the Chelsea players and just finished it.
Yeah, and I think the winner of Man City last season capped off one of the best individual displays I've ever seen. That was an iconic moment as well.
But yeah, I think with the celebration, who is against, it's like that, against Arsenal, it's just like, it's...
Great record against Arsenal as well, he's got. Brilliant record.
Brilliant. And people say he doesn't turn up in big games.
We've had that debate. There's no bigger for a Spurs fan. Any single season.
Champions League final.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But you're talking about every season. Yeah, for how long he's
Henry
been
never scored
in
a final in his career. Does that mean he's not a big game player? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's true.
Scored a great goal in the semis though against Real Madrid.
He did. Yeah, he
Quarters.
did. No, Villarreal was the semis, wasn't it?
exactly.
Yeah, quarters, great goal. In fairness, Harry did a great goal in the quarter against Dortmund, didn't he? Away from home.
That was the last 16.
Last
wasn't it?
16, yeah.
All right, but I think we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for coming in, guys. It's been a long time in the making, but we got it done finally. Hopefully,
the away leg soon.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll do it again. But do you want to let the people know where they can find you guys?
Absolutely, I'll leave that to you, mate.
Yeah, at Same Old Spurs Pod on all the socials. You can go sameoldspurs.com to listen to the podcast, and we're going to put this out on the podcast as well, so everyone can listen in audio. And yeah, just keep supporting everyone who's doing the Tottenham content because. Unlike Daniel Levy, we invest time and money into this.
Well done, lads. You two top guys. You carry on doing what you're doing, mate. You're doing brilliant.
Thank you very much, guys. It's great to get all your views on Spurs. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.